This is the discussion activity for the News module of Communications 10V. This week, our activity will focus around the concept of framing. Framing has been defined as the decisions made by journalists about how to present an issue or a news story. In the videos that you watched this week about the news, you saw different examples of an issue or an event being framed in alternative ways. As part of this activity, you'll get more experience examining news content in an attempt to identify alternative or competing news frames. The assignment in brief is to find two news stories about a contemporary issue or event that frame the same issue or event very differently, and then to explain the differences in terms of the frames. In doing so, you'll need to focus on an issue or event that's very recent, say within the last 60 days. Let's look at an example. In 2016, President Barack Obama signed a bill dealing with the management and regulation of various chemicals that pose potential hazard to human health and safety. Here we see an article in the USA Today newspaper that focuses on the signing of this bill. We can see that the emphasis here is on the bipartisan character of support for the bill within Congress. The Washington Post reported the same event very differently. We see the headline, "The President just signed a law that affects nearly every product you use." Although this article also mentions the bipartisan support for this bill, the primary focus of the article is the ubiquity of consumer chemicals to which you may be exposed and which this new legislation regulates. As part of this assignment, you'll need to post links to two stories, again reporting on the same event but framed in very different ways, as well as your explanation about the framing of each article in the discussion assignment on Canvas. In addition, you'll need to respond to two other students' posts. Here's an example of what your commentary may look like. These are the same two news stories that we looked at earlier. Your comment may be something like this. In 2016, President Obama signed a bill changing chemical safety regulations. While the Washington Post framed this in terms of consumer safety, USA Today framed it in political terms, emphasizing that the bill had bipartisan congressional support. These differences could also be interpreted as a difference between ethical and material frames. Material frames focus on practical considerations, like how the law influences consumers. Ethical frames focus on what is right or morally correct, such as working in a bipartisan manner in order to pass legislation. It's important that your explanation reflect the concepts developed in the videos and readings for news. This shouldn't be just your own off-the-cuff insights. Instead, this should be insights that you bring to bear having learned about news and news frames through course activities. As you respond to other students' posts, it's important that your responses are substantive and informed, and that your responses, much like your post itself or your original post, reflect your understanding of course concepts, as well as reflecting actual insight into the post to which you are responding. Simply saying, "I agree," or "those are interesting stories," is inadequate.